WCBI News at 6 starts now.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. Search efforts continue in 2 different counties for escaped inmates. Noxubee County deputies have been out searching for 2 escapees since about 5 o'clock Sunday morning. Our Jordan Talley rode along with deputies today to see what goes into finding an escapee. She joins us in the studio with that story.
Manhunts like this usually mean sleepless nights and around-the-clock work, and it's just more than trafficking in the woods. It involves everything from who the inmates know to places they were known to hang out before being put behind bars. Familiar faces and places play a big role when it comes to tracking down escaped inmates.
Usually when there's a jailbreak, it is thought that they're going to be in the woods. But when you are in the city and they are from the city, they're going to be from house to house within that city area.
So deputies load up and start driving wherever the leads take them.
Then what you have to do, you will have to either go door to door or you will have to try to find out who they knew until you can pick up on a trail like that.
Noxubee County Sheriff Terry Grassery says deputies work around the clock until they find that trail.
Just got to dig a little further and dig a little deeper. It'll come up sooner or later. We just have to keep going door to door, keep checking, and keep following our leads till we get back on the run again.
Grassery says when inmates are on the run, you've got to make the public aware, which also includes any of the escapees' victims.
Usually we'll do that also, but usually most people trying to get away. I don't think they escape to go and victimize anybody. They just don't want to be locked up. They want to try to get away.
The sheriff also wants residents to know that just because they know the escapees, that doesn't mean they can help them while they're on the run.
They're still around here. Either somebody hiding them, then of course we're going to have to get them and the person that's hiding them. That's called obstruction of justice.
20-year-old Jamie Welch and 25-year-old Tremarcus Webb both face aggravated assault charges. When they get caught, they'll also be facing additional charges for escaping.
And the inmate who escaped from the Webster County Jail still on the run tonight. 18-year-old Anthony Logan escaped around 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon. Logan was sentenced earlier this month to 5 years in prison on burglary charges. He was waiting to be transferred by the Department of Corrections. If you have any information on where Anthony Logan is, contact the Webster County Sheriff's Department. A collision between a pickup and a tanker truck in Lowndes County sends 3 people to the hospital. It happened just after noon on Highway 69 near Concourse Road. The Fair propane truck driven by 30-year-old James Abels was going north on Highway 69 when he collided head-on with a southbound Chevrolet Silverado. It was driven by 38-year-old Dorothy Fawcett. Both drivers and a passenger in the pickup truck were taken to the hospital with what we're told were moderate injuries. The accident remains under investigation by the Highway Patrol. We turn things over now to Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson for a first look at our forecast. Keith?
Andrea, a great sunset this evening. Look at this image from Starkville, the setting sun. Vibrant color there across a good chunk of our region with those incoming cirrus clouds that actually do foreshadow some changes coming our way. Rain chances going on up, but not for tonight. High clouds, that is it. We have current temperatures in the upper 30s in most spots here. Notice the warmer temperatures off to the southwest, so we will see a little increase in our temperature over the next 24 to 36 hours. And that's something to look forward to. For tonight, though, in the near term, we're going to be cooling things down through the 30s into the low 30s later this evening and tonight. For your day Tuesday, a little bit warmer than today, around 50 give or take. But we will see more clouds. The breezes pick on up by tomorrow evening, some showers. Wet on Wednesday. More on that in just a few minutes.
The town of Eupora celebrates MLK Day by recognizing the election of the town's first African-American mayor. Organizers planned the town's first ever MLK March. Participants met at Liberty United Methodist Church and marched to the Eupora Post Office for a short program. Mayor Lamar Dumas was the featured speaker. He talked about the significance and relevance of Dr. King's dream.
There's always room for improvement on the dream, but it to me is very much alive. I'm a living recipient of the civil rights movement. Without that movement, I probably would not even be mayor of the city of Eupora as we speak.
Dumas was elected mayor of Eupora in 2017. Service to others, that was the theme of Columbus's King Day observance. The annual event brought several community groups together this morning, beginning with a breakfast. Dr. Rita Felton, the first African-American female Command Chief Master Sergeant at Columbus Air Force Base, spoke to the crowd. She believes we still have challenges today, but there are more people willing to speak up to give hope.
When you're serving others, you are in the dealer of hope. And in today's environment, that's what people need more than anything, is for people to believe. And you cannot have hope if you don't have faith, because faith sees what others can't see.
Once the event was over, hundreds of volunteers handed out school supplies to more than 700 teachers in Columbus and Lowndes County. The Christian Life Center of St. Paul United Methodist Church in Tupelo was full for that city's annual birthday celebration for Dr. King. The service featured scripture readings, prayers, music, scholarship awards, and a message by St. Paul United Methodist Church Pastor Randy Jones.
Even though we have progressed a long way, we still are miles to go. Racism still goes on, classism, sexism. Mississippi is the lowest in education and poverty and so many different issues. So if we work together, some of those things we can take care of in the next generation. So I want us to keep on focusing on the fight, because the fight has to continue.
The service is a joint effort by the Community for King and the City of Tupelo. Well, hundreds of people took part in Tupelo's motorcade this morning. It was the culmination of 4 days of celebrations of the life and legacy of Dr. King. WCBI's Allie Martin tells us why the motorcade is part of many King observances across the nation and the symbolism behind the event.
As members of the County Line 4-H Club attached U.S. flags to a long line of cars and trucks for the motorcade, Florine Nels were called to Civil Rights March in Okolona.
It was exciting. It was really exciting until we had to go to jail in Okolona. Now that wasn't exciting. That was scary. They put the dogs on us, but we survived it.
Nels was in high school when Dr. King was assassinated in 1968, and she took part in marches and demonstrations calling for racial equality. MLK Day was first observed as a federal holiday in 1986, and the Tupelo Modern Beauticians Club organized a motorcade to represent the marches of the civil rights era. Since then, the motorcade has grown every year as individuals and organizations take time to remember the principles championed by Dr. King.
Just thank God that he took a stand for not only black but also for white, that we all can go to school together, because I was in a segregated school until 1970.
The motorcade is also an opportunity for organizers to encourage young people to not just view MLK Day as a day off of school, but a day to remember and reflect upon the high price paid in the struggle for civil rights.
I wish that we could have half of Tupelo in this motorcade to show our young people how important it is to make a dream come true, to make an effort to do something other than just lay up in the bed and sleep and play games.
Part of history, and it changed our world to shape it to the way it is now.
Kadarius and other young people in the motorcade say they are inspired by Dr. King and the sacrifices of so many in the fight for civil rights.
Keep the dream alive!
In Tupelo, Allie Martin, WCBI News.
The annual motorcade runs from the VF Factory Outlet to St. Paul United Methodist Church. Well, as Americans commemorate the contributions of Dr. King, many are reflecting on the change that King stood for. According to a Wallet Hub study, Mississippi is one of the top states in the country that has made racial progress. But a political science professor says the numbers can be misleading. According to WalletHub.com, Mississippi ranks 5th in the U.S. for gaining racial progress. The study measured how far each state closed the racial gaps in income, health, socioeconomics, and civic engagement. MUW political science professor Dr. Chanley Rainey says the disparities between the races were big to begin with. She also points out the numbers may not tell all because each state is different.
Our peers are really the other deep South states because those are the ones that started out with these massive plantations with governments designed to keep black folks down, after slavery. We had the Jim Crow politics. Our demographic balances are the same.
Dr. Rainey says one way you can tell if racial progress has been made in a state is by looking at the demographics of the state's legislature. Coming up, some area federal workers are getting a little help from their neighbors. We take a look at a community in action and find out what one Mississippi senator says about the possibility of progress when we come back.
You're watching WCBI's News at 6 with Andrea Self.
Welcome back, everyone. Mississippi Senator Roger Wicker says he expects a vote this week on legislation that's being crafted after President Trump's proposal to end the partial federal government shutdown. This weekend, the president offered Democrats an extension of protections for DACA recipients in exchange for the $5.7 billion he wants for a barrier at the border with Mexico. Senator Wicker expects legislation to come to the Senate floor tomorrow.
I think it ought to pass. Now, if there are people who have issues they'd like to add to the proposal or amendments they'd like to make, I certainly hope that people like the Speaker and the Senate Democratic leader will make counteroffers. But we have a concrete proposal before us that I can vote for.
Senator Wicker says the proposal includes compromises the president initially was not willing to make. Democratic congressional leaders say they are opposed to the president's latest offer. Meanwhile, here at home, federal workers in Columbus are receiving some help while they remain out of work. Community Outreach is working with several nonprofits and accepting donations to help these folks. Gift cards for gas, restaurants, and supermarkets are being accepted. Workers can go by Community Outreach and give the proper paperwork to receive those donations. So far, more than $600 in gift cards have been given to help these off-work employees.
They're grateful for anything they could get because many of them are on the verge of losing things. So buying gas and food is something we don't want them to worry about. Even though we can't take care of the major expenses, we just want them to know that we are here as a community for them.
This is day 31 of the partial shutdown. Workers' pay will be reimbursed once the shutdown has ended.
Well, if you missed last night's eclipse, here it is. It started around 9. It peaked just about 11 o'clock, and then it went away just after 1 o'clock in the morning. But pretty nice. Thanks to Jim for that great collage. Your full forecast, that's what it is. It's coming up next. Stay tuned.
Your WCBI First Alert AccuWeather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
High cirrus clouds coming on in. A view from Clay County earlier this evening. Thanks a lot to this particular gentleman, I do believe, Mr. Davenport, out here in Clay County. Wow, not too bad here. All right, our time lapse from Vernon, Alabama, Durham's Pharmacy. You can see the clouds coming on in. And we do have those cirrus clouds. That's really about it for tonight. No major problems for us, but a nice little burst of pink there at Durham's Pharmacy. Our next system way out here across the high plains. It's a long ways away, but it's coming our way. Out ahead of it, some of those high clouds. No moisture, though, in the near term. But let's talk about those moisture chances. It always seems like we're going to have some, and it's been wet since Christmas, you know it. Clouds increase tomorrow. I don't think we're going to have a lot of rain during the day. Now, tomorrow evening and tomorrow night, our chances of rain will increase as the cold front moves on through. It's going to be a wet day Wednesday, some pockets of heavier rain, and maybe, just maybe, if we get cold enough on the backside of this precipitation shield, we may see a little bit of light wintry mix. This would be Wednesday afternoon and evening. It won't last that long, it looks like, as the skies will rapidly clear during the night, but it's possible Wednesday, so stay tuned for more updates on that. And then another cold front will come through late Thursday, and that will usher in even colder air as we get into our Friday. So a series of fronts, moisture chances here. Before we start to cool things down again, during the day Wednesday, we do expect anywhere between about a ½ inch to maybe up to 2 inches of rain around here. So another soggy system. But for tonight, we are going to remain pretty quiet. Scattered high clouds, low 30s, maybe some upper 20s east. Perhaps across the far west, we may not fall as far, but Widespread 30s expected for tonight. A chilly start to our day Tuesday. Mid-40s by noon, low 50s. We're hopeful for that by the afternoon. Now the trade-off will be more clouds and an increase in wind from the southeast at about 10 to 25. So it's going to be breezy tomorrow. Clouds will fill back in. Around 50 here. Warmer down here across southwestern Mississippi. So we're looking at some mid-60s perhaps down there towards Macomb. Not as warm around here, but the wind, that is really going to be increasing later tonight and for tomorrow, sustained from the southeast at about 10 to 25. So that will be another one of those talking points for our day tomorrow before the rain starts to arrive late tomorrow into our Wednesday. Again, temperatures may peak in the mid to upper 50s in the morning, then fall. There could be a little bit of a light wintry mix there. Mostly sunny Thursday, 48. Mostly sunny Friday, but colder, 40. We're still watching the system for this weekend. Perhaps some moisture there. Right now, just 30% Saturday and Sunday. Highs likely in the 40s.
The football Dogs reportedly are getting a few staffers to stick around for a bit longer. More on that coming up in sports.
Your WCBI Sports with Courtney Robb is brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Go further.
The Mississippi State staff looks to have some consistency. First reported by GenesPage.com, Mississippi State defensive coordinator Bob Shoop and defensive line coach Brian Baker will be sticking around Starkville for a few more years, reportedly extending their contracts through the 2020 season. Shoop helped lead the Bulldogs through the 2018 season as the #1 defense in the country, only allowing 15 touchdowns from its opponents in the team's 13 games. This season, this report comes less than 24 hours after running backs coach Chris Huff reportedly left the program to join Nick Saban's staff. Number 22, Mississippi State has an SEC road win under its belt, but can the team keep that momentum rolling to play in one of the toughest places in the conference? Mississippi State faces off against number 8 Kentucky, and Rupp Arena throws down for college basketball. Ben Howland wasn't born yesterday. He knows playing in Lexington is no cakewalk, but says the non-conference battle at Dayton set a good standard for the upcoming game.
Won at Dayton, and that was a very good win, early on in our season. A very difficult place to play, incredibly loud, and, probably more like Rupp Arena than was Vanderbilt the other night in terms of the crowd being into the game and really being impactful. And, the other true road game we played was South Carolina, where we lost in overtime and, had a great chance to win. And it was, a hard place to play as well. So I think our guys, we have, an older group that's been on the road before. So I think they understand the challenge of winning on the road.
Well, speaking of hitting the road, number 20 Ole Miss will be doing the exact same thing tomorrow evening, except that the Rebels are headed to Tuscaloosa. And Alabama might be unranked, but that team is still battling plenty hard. That was evident after the Crimson Tide nearly upset Tennessee this past weekend. Ole Miss coming off of a win against Arkansas with Devontae Shuler playing fewer minutes than normal due to a stress fracture. He's a hard player to replace, but the Rebels continue to adjust around him.
Devontae, he's a special talent. He's pretty much our Iron Man. He played so many minutes, lead the SEC in minutes. Not sure, what it is now, but we just have to, it's a team. DC stepped up last game, and I think he can do it again. And Devontae, I think he's gonna be all right. He won't miss a game or miss too many games.
He didn't practice yesterday. He was just on the bike. There's so many, there's a wide variety when you start talking about stress reactions and stress fractures. I mean, there's the slightest and there's the most severe. There's some places on the foot where you can play. There's some that you can't, So he's got it on a place on his foot that is the best for him to play. And he said he felt better on Saturday, and he said he's getting better. And so, I think that he's, he understands what he has to do. He's been very mature in his rehab. Today he'll come and practice, and then and we expect him to play tomorrow night.
Your last look is coming up next. Stick with us.
A Prentice County boy gets a big surprise for his 9th birthday. Deputy Aaron Stoltz with the Prentice County Sheriff's Department stopped by Jarrett Harris's home to help celebrate his birthday. Even his brothers got in on the fun. They all got hats and badges, and the best part, they got in the patrol car to turn on the blue lights. Sounds like a good way to celebrate a birthday. So happy birthday to Jared, and good for those deputies for going out to surprise him. That's
fun
awesome.
Times to play with the lights, right? All right, tomorrow we do have some clouds, some wind, maybe some showers late. Better chances for rain Wednesday. And again, if we get cold enough before that rain gets out of here Wednesday afternoon, Andre, there could be a little bit of light wintry mix there. We'll follow that tomorrow. And then some brighter skies Thursday into your Friday, but cooler.
Some of our neighbors to the north got a little bit of that.
Oh, they got a lot.
The weekend,
They got a lot.
None for us.
No.
All right, that's the news at 6 o'clock. Enjoy the rest of your Monday evening.